Why, hello, it is I, Chris Brogan, for your brief for October 11th, 2017. Pardon my red eyes. My gosh, I've had some kind of itchy, crazy allergy thing going on. The brief is my story where I share all kinds of things that I've been reading from all over the web. I create this using Ecamm Live, which is the best way to do Facebook Live for Mac. You should check that out at cbrogan.me/ecammlive. If you want to follow along with the stories, go to chrisbrogan.com/cbm. And you can check out what's going on and all the stories that I cover in this particular episode of The Brief. As always, it's just a mix of different things from business, technology, future focus, and some culture, and often some plant-based news, mixed all together in a form that might be useful to you. Will Bitcoin finally hit $5,000? That is the question. It came so close yesterday. It went to 4,900 or so, 4,925, I guess, but then dropped all the way down to 4,750. It is still a very volatile currency when you look at it that way. It is certainly not exactly holding still and acting the way mainstream fiat currencies like dollars do. But it's definitely worth looking at, and if you're starting to look at it and invest in it, there's probably a good time to get on and a bad time to get on. I think every time there's a dip, maybe buy a couple fractions of a coin. That's how I started. I used an app and a site called Coinbase, and I don't own even a single coin. I own a portion of some coin or something like that. Who knows? And if you think this blockchain stuff is just for Bitcoin, totally wrong. There's all kinds of stuff going on. For instance, there's a company called Celsius that is going to help you do peer-to-peer based lending service using something called Celsius, which uses the blockchain to offer it. So this is one of those kind of deals where if you're going to try to give people very small, very brief credit opportunities, you might be able to use a product called Celsius, and that actually gets people all the way out of the experience of having to use a credit card because you might be able to get credit directly from a friend. Kind of crazy. I mentioned earlier that I was using this app and site called Coinbase to do some Bitcoin investing. In the process, I realized I don't necessarily want to only look at that, and I wanted to see, is there any other way that I can invest just a couple bucks in just a couple things and just sort of look around at the world without having to put tens of thousands of dollars down? We might all not be millionaires looking to invest millions, so how do we do it? I found a really cool app. This is not an ad. I don't have any. I wish I had some kind of business relationship with these people, but I don't. But this app is called Stash, and it works on Android and it works on iOS. And you can go to stashinvest.com. And what I like about the app is it allows you to pick based on these investing funds that they've created. They're not really mutual funds, but they're like little clunks of tiny bits of investment. And then you could put a little bit of money into different ones, and you could choose where that money goes. So it's called Stash. Like I said, it's not an app. But what I like is, so I don't have a whole ton of money to spend on anything like this, but I put a little bit of my money in, and I think I have $500 in this thing. And then I put a couple more dollars in. And the two funds that I've invested in, it was funny. I wanted to do one on this green stuff, but it didn't actually work out very well for me. It was doing very poorly. So I got one called Defending America. I figured while everyone's rattling their sabers, we're doomed. And one called Live Long and Prosper that it puts money into where the baby boomers are. And so out of the money that I've put in, the money that I've earned back on my investment so far in just 2 weeks' time is out of the 500 Out of the 500 I put in, I've made back $9 and on all these various different investments. So it's kind of fun. It's fun just because it's kind of the micro-sized version of doing some investing. And like I said, this is not an ad. I don't have any relationship with Stash. I just thought as I'm talking all about these cryptocurrencies, it's definitely worth checking out. Speaking about checking out and investing, Oracle is looking to look at its enterprise blockchain strategy. Oracle is doing what IBM and some other companies are doing, like Microsoft, which is renting out blockchain technology. So you can not have to build everything from the bottom up, but you can choose to put your information into Oracle's blockchains and use them and rent them out for different things, kind of like you rent server space today. One of the best ways that I have of starting to understand how to talk about things like the blockchain, not about Bitcoin, but about the ledger system of blockchain, is that it's a way of kind of moving value around the world different than the way the internet moves information around the world. Now, there's way better people out there that are doing some interesting stuff. The Bad Crypto Podcast, for instance, Joel Comm and his pal, whose name I can't remember. There's all kinds of people covering that, but I want you to at least get your toes wet in it. Internet of Things. I'm pretty sure you haven't done a whole lot in that world, but it's kind of interesting because IoT is going to make local search scalable for small and medium businesses. This becomes kind of interesting because this is, in the land of printers that tell you they're out of ink and Alexa and video cameras and all that. There are all kinds of interesting. I thought we already clicked this thing. Hang on. There's all kinds of really interesting opportunities to dig into this Internet of Things space. So this opportunity is talking about, all the different things that are covered in that space. But as you walk through it, you start to see how these various, quote, connected things are going to make a big opportunity for small and medium businesses. What kinds of products you're going to do, what kinds of services you're going to be able to add. And it's really worth checking out if that's part of your business space. And if it's not, that's okay. Should you like just to use these kind of products, let's say you use an Amazon Echo, the BBC has created basically a choose-your-own-adventure radio show for your Alexa and also Google Home. So it's kind of fun. It's going to be created somewhere around the end of the year, and it is basically this idea that you can play along with or be part of the story of what's going on in your entertainment. So that be that. Speaking of small form entertainment and things that we should be paying attention to, Google just bought a podcast app that was a company called 60dB. They're going to shut down, and it looks like that they're going to join Google. What they were creating in the past is that they had a focus on personalized short-form audio for individual listeners. So personalization in what kind of content and material you receive and some sort of automation of this that's going to make it a little bit easier to get the exact content that you're looking for. Speaking about content you might be looking for, evidently Mr. Steven Spielberg has a deal with Apple TV. They are now into the space of creating their own content. Not unlike Netflix, not unlike Amazon, Apple TV is producing new stuff with Steven Spielberg's Amblin Entertainment. One of the first stories up is their Amazing Stories 1980s show, a reboot of that. So that should be kind of interesting. Hi, good to see you, Matt Ladusky and Matt Parr. Wow, I've got all the Matts today. I should call this episode of The Brief the Matt Brief. This is a wicked ugly website, but I always sneak in a little bit of plant-based news. Plant-based product sales triple since 2006. This is interesting insofar as for those people that think that this kind of food choice and lifestyle choice is a fad that's not here to stay, there's more and more and more money being put into this. What's interesting about this is that big companies like Nestle are doubling into this. Campbell's is working on this. There's all kinds of organizations looking to deliver plant-based. One, because we just don't have enough protein sources that are not plants out there in the world. And two, because, hey, money, and that makes the world go around. Speaking about money and Amazon and all kinds of other things, there's a whole big, huge trend, and I learned a new word today, porch pirates. There's all kinds of people who go around stealing. Yes, sir, Mr. Pyan. There are all kinds of people stealing the stuff you order from Amazon that's getting delivered. Amazon, besides coming up with locker delivery, are coming up with all kinds of new ways, including your trunk. Amazon might start delivering to products to your trunk. You can set up an arrangement with them to say, hey, here's how you get in, or here's where I snuck the key or something like that. So your Amazon deliveries can be hidden in a trunk. I found that actually just technically funny. Do you know what a Porg is? If you don't, you will soon. Star Wars The Last Jedi has a new breakaway sweetheart that everyone seems to love, and they are called Porgs. Let me roll one in front of your face. This is seen very, very briefly in Star Wars The Last Jedi. There's a little scene with Chewbacca flying around, and this little guy is standing beside him looking a little scared, going, "Aye!" And it has taken the internet by storm, and people are thrilled. So my final news story for the day is just to point out that these are called Porgs. So now you have something to say to your nerdy Star Wars friends and all the cool kids on the block. This has been The Brief. I do this as often as I can, most days. If you want to follow along, if you want to check out the stories in more depth, because every single one of these has a full article behind it, you go to chrisbrogan.com, you go to CBM. chrisbrogan.com/CBM will take you to today's most recent one, and also you can check some of the backstories. You might find them interesting. As always, happy for your help, happy for your time. Drop me a line, chris@chrisbrogan.com, if there's anything particular you want me to cover, or if you've got a cool article you want to share. Always into that. Thanks so much for your time. I'll catch up with you soon.